This strength exercise has heavily been in my rotation now for the last, several months. So this is a single leg Romanian deadlift, also known as a single leg airplane, but we're adding a loaded hip open and close. So there are several things I want to talk about in this position to help you maximize what you're going to get from this exercise. So I've been adding this exercise to my client programs in order to help them learn how to activate through the glute on their stance leg and maintain stability in the foot, knee, and hip as we're adding a rotation open and closed. Not gonna lie, this is a very advanced exercise that I do not give to all my clients. This is something where once a client figures out the positioning and the awareness, is an excellent tool for learning how to activate through their glute med while they're trying to control the position of their pelvis as well as their core. So let's talk about a couple of the basic things that we're looking at for this exercise that all help to essentially compound on each other to make this a really great strength training exercise. So, what I'm doing with this exercise is I'm putting that dumbbell behind my back and I'm trying to get it as far over onto the opposite hip as possible. So, if my stance leg here is my right leg, that dumbbell or kettlebell is going to go onto the opposite hip. I want that weight away from my pivot point. That pivot point is the glute on my stance leg. From there, I'm taking that forward lean position. So here you can see that my body is at a forward angle. I'm not quite perpendicular with the ground, I'm a bit lower than that. And what I'm working on here is keeping that knee on my stance leg. So in this case, that's my right leg, keeping the knee on my stance leg in the exact same position as I peel that left hip, peel that dumbbell up toward the ceiling and back down. One thing I love to add to this exercise is an internal rotation, meaning that that foot on the airplaning leg, that left foot, is going to rotate up toward the ceiling. That's external rotation. I'm going to let the hips come back down so that the hips now are even. And then what I'm going to do from there is let the pelvis almost like slump down so that the left hip goes down toward the floor. Now my left toes are pointing toward the opposite wall. I'm going to feel a little bit of a stretch through that glute on the right side. Then from there, I'm going to go back into that hip external rotation, opening up the hip toward the opposite wall. So, to add more complexity to this exercise, let's look at the front version. The money here is essentially maintaining the position of the knee as the hips open up toward the side wall and as they come down. So, starting from the bottom, let's look at the foot. The toes are spreading, the big toe is planted on the floor. The heel is fully in contact with the floor. I have a slight bend in the stance leg here, and I'm watching as I'm doing this to try to keep that knee pointing straight ahead. So, one cue I'll commonly use with our clients is pretend there's a laser beam on that kneecap, and that laser beam has to stay pointing in the exact same spot, whether I'm in this top position or whether I'm in this bottom position. So, if feeling like shooting a laser beam out of your kneecap doesn't really relate for you, or you need something a little bit more tactile, here is a good variation. So, you can do a stability ball, Swiss ball. You can also do a foam roller, maybe a volleyball or soccer ball, pressing the knee forward where you actually maintain that contact with that object and keep it in contact with the wall or box bench, whatever you're using. Okay, I'm simply using the box to show you this angle and for ease of setup. So, with this one, what I want to make sure is that as I'm opening and closing, similar to what I was talking about with the knee alignment, I'm trying to keep that ball from rolling to one side and rolling to the other side. So, this could be a good version of this exercise to help you better understand what your body is doing. An alternative that I'll sometimes do is I'll have a client with their knee alongside a bench, keep contact with that bench as they're opening up and as they're closing. So, what is your torso doing on this exercise while you're doing it? Well, you'll notice how in each of my videos, I actually have both hands touching or one hand touching a surface while I'm doing this exercise. And the goal behind that is to maximize the joint range of motion and activation. So we're not thinking about the balance in addition to that full range of motion, the additional load, and all the other things. So with this, as I'm opening up the hip, I can let the shoulders follow the hip open As I'm closing the hips down, I can let the shoulders follow the hip down. That is totally fine. The big thing is, I want as light of a touch on that surface as I can. But again, remembering that the focus is working on the strength through the glute, the stability in the foot, but also that full range of motion in maintaining that forward hinge while my hips are opening and as they're closing. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Hello at coachtessa.fit.